Welcome, board members, to today's edition of Shelf Talk, where I take a game off the shelf and I start to talk about it. I really love this game, Kingdom Builder by Donald Vaccarino, Queen Games. There's a lot that I like about it. Donald Vaccarino, if you recognize the name, if you're huge into hobby games, known for Dominion, one of his biggest games ever. Kingdom Builder is one of my favorites for new gamers, beginner gamers in the hobby game scene. I think it has a lot that it can give to a new hobby gamer. And there is some strategy and depth for veteran gamers as well. It's not super complex, it's not super deep, but sometimes you just want to have some fun and build a kingdom. So through Shelf Talk, I talk about the components, some of the rules, some of the art, and basically what I like most, what I don't like so much, and my overall thoughts. So I'll get down to the table and share with you the components, the rules, the thoughts, the art, all that stuff right now. So here in front we have pretty much all the main components to Kingdom Builder. You've got some summary cards for the location tiles. You've got the different game board sections, markers for each player. There's 4 different colors. There's orange and blue and gray and black. There's also your Kingdom Builder cards themselves, and then the terrain cards. So terrain cards have a piece of terrain on them. What I've got this camera here, I'm going to show you this stuff up close and personal. Starting with the player boards, I've got quite a few comments on this. So one of the comments is, it's very, very thick, heavy cardboard. I've experienced no warping both through a dry desert climate and a humid Midwest climate. These things have not warped to date. So that's a good thing to note right off the bat. Second thing to note, I have a lot of the expansion. I think I'm only missing one expansion for this. I have the Marshlands, what were some of the other ones? Marshlands, Crossroads, Nomads, and of course the base game here as well. So you can see I have quite a stack of these tiles, but the base game comes with 8 of these tiles. And what's interesting about these is all the scenery is different. So if I bring it up to this camera here, all the layouts and different, the way the water's laid out, the scenery's laid out, they're all different in a way, shape, or form. And you place them randomly to interconnect them like so, right? So that's 2, and then you put 2 more above that to make a game board of 4 of these. Another thing that's unique is the back side of every one of these is your score tracker. So you're going to place your little score marker here, and you move it along the track as you play the game. So any one of these boards is also your scorecard. So it was kind of a unique way to use the modular board as well. The fact that there are 8 in the base game, and they could be in any configuration of, upper left, upper right, bottom left, bottom right, really says a lot for replayability just for the terrain alone. So while I'm on the topic of replayability, I want to talk about the 10 Kingdom Builder cards. That's these here. You've got this Fisherman, you've got Lords, and there's Miners and Hermits. So these particular cards are what dictate victory point conditions throughout the game. You're only going to use 3 of them in any given game. So again, with 10 to choose from your base game, also added replayability with these alone. So that's the Kingdom Builder cards. These particular tiles, summary cards of the location tiles. So you notice these little gold marked areas in gold here. Those are locations, and each location has a different power or ability, if you will. Well, every one of them, so now this will be one of the downsides to the game is part of the setup. Every one of these locations comes with some tiles that if you don't have a really good storage solution, at the beginning of every game, you got to dig through all of your little things, flip them all over, try to find the tile that matches this little wagon symbol here. And then you have to do the same for you don't have to do the same, but you would want to do the same to dig through these tiles to find the one. So let's see if I can find the one that matches the wagon train there with any amount of, well, didn't find it there. Let's see if I find it here. Wagon train. Well, I found this one. Wagon train. So you're looking for that which will match the picture here. So you connect this somewhere to the bottom or the top of the board at the beginning of the game. It's to remind you of what the ability is throughout the game so you don't forget to use your special ability during the game. I don't mind finding these so much. It's digging through these tiny little location tile chips because you only get to put 2 here. And when anybody claims the first one, they can't take another one from here. Then somebody claims the second one, that's it. That's the only 2 players that get to use this ability. Now, if this ability is on a second map board, then there's 2 available there that can also be taken, but you just can't take 2 from the same slot. So you got to find these little chips for that part of the game. Wooden components for your pieces. Got no complaints about those. They're typical wooden components that you would find in any game that has wooden components. The cards here, also no complaints about these cards. These are the terrain cards. During your turn, you're dealt 1 card. So it really cuts down on, well, the AP players, analysis paralysis, because you have to, you don't have to decide where you're going to play it. If I was dealt this desert card, I have to play my settlements somewhere in the desert. And if I already have a settlement here in the canyon, well, the other rule for placing settlements is that I have to place them adjacent to existing settlements if possible. So if I already had settlements in this canyon and I drew that desert card, I have to play them starting adjacent to this settlement. I mean, I could place them 1, 2, and then 3 should I want to do that. The point is, these cards will really cut down a lot of the decision processing that you'd have to do. Again, veteran gamers don't mind that decision processing time, but newer gamers, I think, would benefit from, oh, okay, I see, I have to place it here. I see why now I would want to maybe back my canyon pieces up so that they're not touching so many places. And that's just some of the strategy that you learn throughout the game. And again, I love this game. These are just some of the things that on both sides I could see, heavy strategy gamers might feel constricted, like, oh, I can only play in the desert, what a dumb game, versus, oh, if I know I'm restricted to playing adjacent, I'm going to try to be as secluded as I can. So maybe my places in the desert are here. Now they're not adjacent, well, here. Now they're not adjacent to anything. So if I draw a flower field, I can place them here or here. If I draw a canyon, I can go here or here across the map. If I draw fields, I can go here, or forest, I can go here. So there's a lot of ways to strategize that. So anyhow, the cards are great. I've played this game dozens of times and they have held up. And I don't sleeve these cards. Some people cringe at the fact of not sleeving your cards. I haven't sleeved these. Maybe I should sometime, but they haven't gotten gummy or sticky or messy or ripped or bent or anything like that. So they've held up well. So those are some of the components. We talked about the little tiles here that I'm not too fond of. I wish there were a different way for this, but I understand why there isn't. Let's see, what else do we need to talk about? Oh, scoring. So in Kingdom Builder, we have these 3. Let's just use these 3 as the example. These 3 dictate scoring. Now in this game, gold is victory points. So for example, the farmer says build settlements in all sectors. 3 gold for each of your own settlements in that sector with the fewest of your own settlements. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I've set it up here. This game is played, it talks about sectors and settlements. So a sector is one section of the board. So this is a sector, this is a sector, this is a sector, this is a sector. You can kind of see where they join here at the middle. And so what the farmer says is 3 gold for each of your own settlements in that sector with the fewest of your own settlements. So you find which sector has the least amount of your settlements. Each little building is a settlement. So in this case, it would be this one. It only has 5, where this has 6. This has way more. And this has way more. So you would score 15 points for those, or 15 gold, for the farmer's card. That's how the farmers work. Now for discoveries, this particular card says build settlements on many horizontal lines. 1 gold for each horizontal line on which you have built at least one of your own settlements. So if we use a similar setup to the merchant, or to the farmers rather, every horizontal line, so this line, this line, this line, this line, this line, going straight across, you would get 1 gold. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, none here, none here, 5, 6, 7, and then none further north than that. So you would get an additional 7 gold for the Discoveries card. Now the Knights card says, build many settlements on one horizontal line. Using the same setup, if this were my end game, 2 gold for each of your own settlements built on that horizontal line with the most of your own settlements. So you're looking for the horizontal line that you have the most settlements on, and it looks like it would be this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 5. So Knights kind of, you want to try to build like almost a wall of your own settlements. So I would get 2 gold for each of those, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, an additional 12 points for the Knights. And that's really how scoring works. You just deal out the 3 different cards before the game starts, figure out a strategy that mixes best with all of these, and play your card, play your settlements, and play the game. It is a lot of fun. I won't get into too much of all the different powers and abilities because that's part of the fun is discovering these. I haven't had any problem with any of the expansions so far. I know there's one expansion that I haven't bought yet, but I can't quite remember the name of it. So that's what I think about Kingdom Builder. That's going to do it for today's edition of Shelf Talk. I really enjoy Kingdom Builder. I can't really recommend it enough. If you're a diehard board gamer and you have some friends and family that are kind of on the fence about playing some board games, I would really recommend checking out Kingdom Builder by Queen Games. Super fun. I mentioned there's an expansion that I don't have. I can't remember the name of it right now, but I do have 4 of them. So, and I play with all of them, and you can mix and match them pretty well. It doesn't get too convoluted, but I wouldn't start there. I wouldn't start by mixing and matching some of the expansions. They do add more Kingdom Builder cards, different ways. You know, like we had the farmers, the knights, the discoveries. I mean, I think I'm up to 20 or so different workers that we're trying to, or different citizens that we're trying to impress with our kingdom. So that's kind of fun. So definitely check it out. I recommend this one. I would give it a 7, an 8 for a new player, 7 maybe for veteran players. So thanks so much for checking out this edition of Shelf Talk. And as always, we'll see you at the next boardroom meeting.